over to you.
Okay, so today we're going to be talking about achieving parent-child synergy, a Buddhist approach. So, in order for this session to be successful, I need the cooperation of all audience. So just to warm you guys up, can I please ask how many of you are adults? Please raise your hands. Okay, adults. Okay, cool. How many of you are working adults? Maybe above 30, around there? Okay. How many of you are teens or young working adults? How many of you are children? Alright, okay. So who is here with your family? I see Bharati, okay, yes. And a few others. Alright, lovely. So this is the objective for our talk today. It's really to bring families together. But
Okay. The reason why we do this talk is that all of us have parents, right? No matter how old we are, and also whether we have a meaningful relationship with our parents, and if we've been holding to that good relationship, we must know why, and if not, why not? The question now is, yesterday I was reading the Yahoo News, and something that's quite disturbing. That is, Steve Jobs' daughter has posted in the social media that she has not been treated well by the father. And as you know, the father is very successful. Last week, Apple has reached $1 trillion capitalization. It's the first time in the world that a company has reached that kind of valuation. But of course, Steve Jobs has already passed away. So you can have a very successful business, but failure on the personal relationship. We are not wishing that this will happen to families, and the Buddha has a solution. So today's talk is also based on what has expounded by the Buddha 2,600 years ago, his formula for a bonding between a parent and a child, and also beyond. Okay. Today we are talking about, the next slide is the overview. First, you buy any caveat and any product, we have a caveat. Sun and I do not have a perfect relationship. Okay? Why is that? Because we are conditioned differently by our circumstances. So we do not have expectation that there is a perfect relationship, but we must have a good management. Am I right?
yes.
So this is where we are common in terms of engaging the Buddha's path and striving together. Hopefully also as a Kalyana Mitta, means friends on the spiritual path. So today, the overview will be about us, and then the Buddha Dhamma to us, our conviction on why we are on this path together, and the respect has an impact with each other in relationship, not to be taken for granted. Harmony is the key that's expounded by the Buddha. What you can do today, and also finally the conclusion. Okay. About us, well, this is the first time that I speak on a Sunday service, and this is also Sun's first time. So we have both a first here. So we must introduce ourselves. First, I'll introduce Heng Sun. He's my senior in the Buddhist practice because he's been in BF for 10 years. He signed up earlier than me. And he just graduated from the Niam Poly, studying in banking and financial services, and waiting to go into the army. He's pretty much an outgoing person, and he will go around making friends with even strangers, including dogs. And also something about him is also very workaholic. That comes from my wife's gene. He will always go around helping people, trying to solve their problems. So that is part and parcel of Heng Sun. And he is also sporty. He likes to do dance. So sometimes he will come to the room and dance in front of me. I don't know why. And of course, his love is karate. He also is quite adventurous. He loves to travel with friends, with family members, of course. He has to put up with us as well. And he likes to take photographs. So you will see him snapping the pictures away. And after that, he will busily do the editing. And he's interested in the current affairs. What's happening in business, what's happening in the world. He also, he researched on North Korea more than I do. And recently, we're quite happy that Singapore becomes the country that both USA and North Korea meet. Hopefully, it can lead to more peace in the world. So now.
Alright, so as my father mentioned, he's my junior. So he has been in BA for 9 years. He's definitely a very keen learner and practitioner of Dhamma. He has read more Dhamma books than I've ever read any book in my life. Okay, so he's up there. He's inquisitive in mindset. He has been investing for over 30 years. He really, that's his bread and butter, that's his life. He reads about economic events, politics, how does it affect the stock market, and that's something we're going to be covering on a bit later as well. And as with all that, he has some dad jokes, dad humor that you're forced to laugh because you're yeah, and he's very nerdy as well. He loves Star Wars and he loves Lord of the Rings as well. You can't tell, right? From his demeanor. Yes, he does. And he's very simplistic in nature. And lastly, sporty with a question mark. Okay, so he used to do a lot of running marathons. Okay, the keyword is used to, as you can tell. Okay, so just stop right now. Okay, so yes. So now moving on to Buddha Dhamma. So for those of you that are new, Dhamma is Buddha's teachings, and Buddha is Buddha, of course. Okay, so what is Buddha Dhamma to me? Firstly, it's a non-obligatory, inverted commas, religion. Because Buddhism is not a religion. To many, it's a way of life. So why do I say non-obligatory? Well, quoting back from the Kalama Sutta, it's actually very famous for its free inquiry about Buddhism, about Buddha's teachings. So, many stories, many suttas highlight this non-obligatory attitude of Buddha. And I would like to quote a short extract from a later verse and also a Tibetan translation that I feel serves the essence of Buddha's approach. So let me read this out. Just as one would examine gold through burning, cutting, and rubbing, so should monks and scholars examine my words. Only thus should they be accepted, not merely out of respect for me. So the reason why I'm not going to keep it here just in case people want to take a picture, but the reason why I really love and I've really gone to really love Buddhism is that I've journeyed a long journey and trying to understand other religions. I've been to churches, I've been to mosques, and I have many friends of different faiths, and I've been in the Methodist school for 13 years. And through my search, I've never ever found a leader or a god of a religion asking his followers to only agree with him in what he states, agrees with their experience. And that to me is the amazing thing about Buddhism. Buddhism is non-obligatory. Buddha didn't say, hey, I'm a teacher, listen to me. No, he didn't say that. He said, go and search for yourself. And that to me really inspires me to do so and find out more about Buddhism on my own. And next, Yata Buddha Jnana Dasana. Seeing with understanding the reality of world as is. So whenever I engage newcomers, I give them this this story. Okay, so I need you guys to really use your imagination right now. Okay, I just need you guys to plop yourself into a toilet bowl now. Okay? So imagine that you have taken the biggest dump of your life. The biggest ever, the smelliest, okay? So you're like, you flush the toilet and the stench is still there, and you're like, oh man, this really stinks. And then at the corner, you see this Febreze, lavender scented, you're like, okay, I need to freshen this up a bit. So you okay? Then you take a deep breath in. Okay, don't look at me now, I'm weird, okay? Because we've most probably gone to hotels and done that too. Walk in and, wow, this toilet smells good, okay? So don't lie to yourself. Okay, so then you take a deep breath in, and then you smell the lavender scent. You're like, wow, this toilet smells good. But while you're smelling the lavender scent, you're also smelling the feces particles, right? So what Buddha did was that he saw that where there is happiness, there is suffering. Where there is suffering, there's happiness. So instead of smelling, he walked out. So that is how I explain Buddhism to people. It's about not letting things own you. It's okay to own things, but do not let these things own you. Over to Bam.
Okay, Sister Sylvia has advocated that Dhamma, Buddha has said that Dhamma, the thing about the dukkha is a given. So what happened in 1984, 10th of October, I received a call from my father after my lecture in Western Australia. So it's just, as usual, he's just checking on me and asking how I am and asking me not to be worried. Then in the same evening, I received bad news that he has suddenly passed away, died of heart failure. So that was really a shock to my system, because one afternoon I was speaking to my father, and that same day he has passed away and bid goodbye. Don't even say a word after that. So I was trying to reconcile how come it occurred, and I was trying to look for answer. I was overcome with grief for the next few months, and then of course I've got to pretend a straight face because my mother was also suffering. So after so much searching, even to other religious faith, I couldn't get the answer. And finally, I come across the Buddha's teaching, and the answer is there. Because we know that in life, there's always imperfection. In life, there's always unsatisfactoriness. So it is through our clinging and craving that we suffer, not because of the thing about detachment, but because we are conditioned to cling to our family, to crave for the next moment of togetherness with our loved ones. So when we separate from our loved ones, there is suffering. So the Dhamma teaching has made me come to terms with the reality that one day we will separate from our loved ones, from our family, and sometimes we also associate with people that we don't like. And also things that we wish to come doesn't come. So those are the suffering. So the Buddha Dhamma is logical because the happiness comes from within rather than without. Next slide is about gratitude to the Triple Gem. We have chanted just now about homage to the Triple Gem, the Buddha, Dhamma, and the Sangha. Buddha is the teacher, Dhamma is the teaching, the Sangha are the practitioners. That not necessarily are the one in robes, but lay persons, layman, laywoman. Those who have practiced well, who has shown us the way. They are the beacons for the path. And I draw the aspiration from them that we can be happy despite personal losses, despite setback, despite the unwelcome results. So that applies to my family. When Heng Sun is diagnosed with dyslexia, the learning difficulties, the whole family take a beating. So we do not expect him to come with the best results. We manage it. My wife and I go for courses by the Dyslexia Association of Singapore. We learn how to manage such problem, learning difficulties. And when they grow into teenager, they are bound to have anger issues, because when they compare themselves with their classmate, there is always the inadequateness about how come I learned 10 times, I couldn't get it, but they learn once, they get it. So these are the challenges that we have to accept. So the next one is gratitude to the spiritual friends on the path. They are called the Kalyana Mitra, the spiritual friends, the good friends. Because when we are on the path, sometimes we feel lonely, we may feel discouraged, but they are the shoulder that we can lean on and the hands to hold, to maintain in the path. Through the good practice, we draw good example. We also have the confidence to run together. Why I say run? Because I used to run marathon, and then I see the runners who are just, a number of them run past me, and sometimes my running mate coming from behind will say, okay, I stay together with you, let's run together, same speed. So this is how it runs. How we run, we support each other. So for spiritual path, we need spiritual friends. And in BF, we have many spiritual friends that we can rely on. Okay? And then realize that this life, this human life, is the best chance to keep my practice. I'm sure all of you would have come across a story about the blind sea turtle that rises above the water 100 years at a time to take a breath. So this is how precious human life is. So don't waste this and go to other woeful states, because the chances of those like animals, insects, to become a human, the odds are very, very low. Next is about our conditioning. We are quite lucky to be in this country. Some of you are foreigners and live in this country like Singapore or Malaysia. We have a fortunate circumstances to be exposed to the Dhamma due to our past effort and conditioning, as quoted in the Mangala Sutta. So this is the best opportunity as a human and holding the right view, with right view as the forerunners.
Okay, so already talking about our convictions, why did we want to give this topic? Why do you want to share about this topic? So, sorry we forgot to mention this earlier, but basically my father will be speaking about 45% and I'll be speaking about 55%. Yeah. Okay, the reason for this is because he'll be sharing about the suttas and I'll be elaborating the applications, which needs stories to be able to be in line with, help you better understand. So, experiences. So, talking, good intentions do not equate to right intentions. So over the years, talking to friends in BF and friends of other faiths, I see a lot of people leaving their religion. You know, it's part of the religion tries to advocate it's good, but the delivery is poor from the organization, from parents, from children. So there's a lack of skillfulness, lack of timing, lack of conditions. And people tend to mix up good intentions with right intentions. Now let me give you a very extreme example. Hitler, the ruler of Nazi Germany. He had good intentions to reclaim Germany's pride after World War I. But was it right intentions? No, it was not. So we need to distinguish between what's good intentions and what's right intentions, what's pure intentions. And there's this misalignment in views and expectations between parents and children or partners that leads to failed or weakened support systems from within families or within relationships. So as a teen, I'll be sharing many anecdotes and personal examples. So for now, it will seem one-dimensional, but not to worry, I'll cover on the parent side as well. My father will do that as well. Yeah, so I just want to put a caveat right here. I'm not trying to put down any of my friends or or their families, but what I'm trying to highlight is that we can be grateful for whatever situation we're in, somehow or some way. And what are the learning points we can learn from these situations? So, let's start from the basic ones. I have this friend who lied to her parents about going to a camp when in fact she was going overseas with her friends. Happens. I have this friend who hid her boyfriend from her parents for about 1.5 years because the parents won't allow her to have a boyfriend. I have these friends who see home as not a home because every time they go back, there's just so many arguments between the parents and them. So they don't feel like going home, they rather spend time with their friends, going clubbing, going drinking or whatsoever, or maybe more wholesome acts, but basically they don't want to go home. I have this friend whose mother told her she was fat and that she had body image issues after that. So she became bulimic, which means she would eat a lot of food in a short period of time and force herself to puke it out because she had body image issues. And it did not help that it was coming from her mother. So you see, the mom is not wrong in saying that, but it was the lack of skillfulness. See, good intentions and right intentions. Now, two more examples. This one really made me want to give this talk. I have this friend whose father came from India, and he set up his family in Singapore, and it was a very tough journey for him. And they're still in the lower income group. I even had to give some of my money for his graduation. You know, that's how in a dire state they were. So the father has his views on what is a successful person coming from India, it's preconditioned. So he said, okay son, you're going into this course because you'll be successful for this course. And I always remember this friend to be the joyous one in the group, always making stupid remarks and making everyone laugh. And it's amazing how one decision in a period of 3 years made him become the person that ignored everybody. None of my friends that text him, he doesn't reply any of us anymore. So that's how dire, one decision for a parent who wants his child to go through this way, because this is the only success route, has led to us losing a friend. And lastly, I have a friend who is an heir to a huge property group in Singapore. It's family run. Her brother is autistic, and the parents cannot accept that he's autistic. Not at all. So they blame it on her. Say, see, you bully him when you were younger. So that's why now he's like that. He's not autistic, it's just you bully him. And this might remind you of a medieval time, They want her to take over the family business even though she might not want to. And they're trying to matchmake her with someone of similar status. So this is the stuff that a lot over the years I have heard from my friends. And my father will be carrying more on the misalignment of views and goals.
Well, about the misalignments of goals and views, and also unreasonable expectation from both parties, this will create a lot of conflicts between parents and child. So when we talk about parents being conditioned by the circumstances, they will want to wish the best for their children because they think that in their time, this career, this occupation will draw the best money. So they will always hold the same view that a doctor will want the kid to be a doctor, an accountant to be an accountant, a lawyer to be a lawyer. So they force the kid to go into the courses that they dislike, and therefore there will be a lot of conflict. And sometimes the kids also, they also have their own thinking, they also have their friends. So being forced in this situation, they will just might as well give up, or they would put in minimal effort. And then, does the parent know what is best for the children? And another thing is, now we have what? Digital age. We have AI, artificial intelligence. So all this are coming in and change the landscape of the jobs. And for kids, for children who expect the parents are to be more experienced in the life, they will want some answers. Also, is expecting too much because there's always the changing trend. Parents may not know best, but the parents can equip the children with the right skill to handle uncertainties. Why do I say that? The job scope that we have now, 50% of it does not exist 10 years ago. So going forward, the change in job scope will be faster also. Like for example, sometimes people ask, what's your son doing? People of my age. So I say, oh, digital marketing. What is digital marketing? I also say, I don't have a clue. And then next moment, my eldest son said, he's now a growth hacker. So I was wondering, wow, what kind of job is that? So there's so much definition of jobs coming in the new digital age. Then about my second son involving in coding. So what is coding? I also never heard of it in my years. So when we talk about changes, we do not know best, but we can help them through management, through the Buddhist method. I will come to it later when I go through the sutta. Okay. Okay, that's over to me. Done by me. Okay, the respect has impact. So this is about the sutta called Sigalu Wada. It promotes the mutual respect between parent and child when they carry out their various roles, respective roles. Through many lifetimes, we also switch roles. He could be my father in many existence ago, could be my friend. So we do switch roles, and why not we make it a good, a meaningful relationship in this lifetime. And this is also for the benefit of happiness and welfare for each other, because this sutta also shows that not only what we do, but what we care. We care about each other. Five ways in which a child should minister to the parents. Number one, having been supported by them, the child will support them. Child will live in the generosity and the charity of the parents. It is always this way, the parents will look after their offspring. So just now, for example, we quoted a rich person that do not look after the daughter. It is failure in the relationship. So we should be generous to our children, but not about over-pampering. It's not like, I want this, I give you this. I want that, I give you that. No. It's about, I want this, but for what reason, I will give you accordingly. Okay? If it's a good reason, why not? Then, the next one is, the child will perform duties for them. Physically, I'm also getting old, so some of the physical work has to be done by my children. For example, when we travel, they will carry the heavier luggage. But not only that, we also depend on them on the computer. Because this is what cyber age or digital age, and sometimes I don't have a clue how to operate. So I have to ask them for help. Fortunately. Third one, the child will keep up with the family traditions. So what are the family traditions? I'm from the Taoist family, so we carry out the observance of Qingming. And Qingming is to pay homage to the ancestor through some offerings. And sometimes we'll go through certain rites and rituals. But what is more important is about the remembrance and the contribution of our forefathers, how hard they struggle. They have to take a boat from China to Singapore, and that will take about 2.5 weeks to 3 weeks, and they have to go through many challenges in the sea. Sometimes some of them do not make it, and sometimes when they end up here in Singapore, they have to be settled. So that's through great perils that they come to Singapore to earn a living. So we owe it, the success of the modern Singapore, we owe it to our forefathers, no matter where they come from China, from India, or from other parts of the world. So the Qingming is for us to remember them, and when we perform meritorious deeds, like expounding the Dhamma, sharing the Dhamma, giving Dhamma talk, learning Dhamma, all this we can dedicate to them as the joyousness to be with them. This also lift our mind, become light. Then next thing is about the children will be worthy of the inheritance. Nothing is given, alright? Not materialistically. But if they are worthy of inheritance, it is worthwhile to give some money, because we know that they will do good. But what is not worthy is don't give. But neither can we neglect them, because they are our children. So that the children do not take things for granted, they will be in good state, they will be a good citizen of the earth. The best heritage is Dhamma. But what I can give to my children, not only Dhamma, but tea leaves and teapots. Because I love to drink tea. So I collect them, so they can inherit, of course, hopefully before I pass away. After the parents' death, the children will distribute gifts on their behalf. Some of the family will form their foundation if they are rich enough. If not, they will also have some form of material. So they are able to give the material wealth to others according to the wishes of the parents, and at the same time, they also would rejoice in the good merits. So now we move on to the next one. 5 ways parents should minister to their child. First is they will restrain the child from evil. So what is the best way? Is to bring them to Buddhist fellowship. So follow the chanting the 5 precepts and observe the 5 precepts. So not only they come here to chant the 5 precepts, but when they walk out of the Dhamma hall, they continue to uphold the 5 precepts. That's the basic anyway. Then of course there are more to do, right? So second one, support the child in doing good. So not only they have to avoid the evil, they have to do good. In Dhammapada verse 183, they talk about avoid evil, do good, purifying the mind. This is the teaching of all Buddhas. So when we talk about do good, avoid evil, do good, then this will put the child in a good state to learn meditation. Nowadays, a lot of big organizations also have meditation session during the day. Some of them, of course, they use mindfulness. Some of them will use meditation to relax the mind. This will make the workers or the employees more productive. So probably in 20 years' time, for those people who do not meditate, they will stick out like a sore thumb. So this is a very good movement. Next thing, teach the child some skill. So what kind of skill? We know that jobs will become obsolete. Changes will take place. So what is skillful in the child is to learn to cope with change. So the Buddha Dhamma also put us in a good state that we can cope with the change, manage the change, manage the adversity. Of course, another skill that just now I mentioned is the skill of meditation. So there are meditation courses, meditation retreats. Please check out on the Buddhist Fellowship calendar to learn meditation for those who hasn't done so. And recently we both attended Sister Silver Bay's meditation called the Dhamma retreat, which we find is very helpful. And our house is going for some renovation, and Heng Sun has requested to create a meditation ledge in his room. So this is very positive. Next thing is find a child a suitable spouse. Okay, in Buddha's time, there's this thing about matchmaking, right? But nowadays, we have what? Social media, we have many opportunity. Female also go to school. In the beginning of the last century, we hardly see female going to school. But now, more and more so of equal opportunity. So the chances of a child getting their lifetime partner without the father or mother's introduction is very high. So when we talk about finding a child a suitable spouse, it's more like advising the child which is a good, who is a good lifetime partner. Because a suitable child spouse to the child will also bring a good state to the family. Sincere, honest, with good integrity. Those are the criteria that I will advise. So in due time, hand over the inheritance to the child. Not only about my tea collection, not only about some part of the wealth, because some of it will go to charity, but also the vision and mission of what should benefit. So when we talk about inheritance, the biggest inheritance is the Dhamma. So I don't have to wait until I die to hand over. The question is now. Because if he wants to clarify a certain Dhamma concept or a certain Dhamma practice, we can share Dhamma together. So straight away, I can hand over to him. But of course, I have to show my example. That means by being a role model. Next one. Okay, I'm going to another sutta. I expect a sutta called the Advice to Prince Abhaya. In Majjhima Nikaya number 58, is about exercising the right speech. Okay, I expect the two parts because there are about 6 parts. These are more important. Speech that is true, correct, beneficial, welcome and agreeable, and timely. So that amounts to the right speech. So why do I talk about right speech? It's because the communication between parent and child is always verbal. Not only I talk to you, you talk to me, but about I text to him, he texts back through social media, through WhatsApp messages. But when situation occur that require something need to be done, that comes the second part. When speech that is delivered unwelcome, disagreeable, it has to be timely and with compassion. So sometimes, if, let's say, Heng Sun get out of line, I will have to be very stern. But that's for the compassion, for his welfare and benefits. And once his mind is open to it, then that's okay. So the relationship goes this way. The communication is such that the mind has to be light, very light, open, vibrant, and soft. Then the message can get in. If I were to give a good scolding, the message cannot go in because the mind becomes hard, heavy. So nothing works. So imagine, I'm sure all of us come across that if we get a scolding by someone, we will not listen. There's no more communication. And not only that, we might retaliate. So right speech is the one that is more important between parents and child. Okay, next.
Alright, so I'm going to be covering on the application of respect. So people who do not deserve their roles. Okay, can I get a show of hands? Okay, I need a participation again. Who in your life has had a class monitor, a teacher, a school leader, a project leader, a vice president, a president, a boss, or anyone who was in a position of power that you felt did not deserve their position or respect, or your respect? Please raise your hands. Honestly, please raise your hands. See, even the little girl there is more honest. I believe that we're all not saints and we have faced at least one of these persons in our life. So there are leaders and there are those that lead. So one leads with hierarchy and authority, and only what you get out of that is fear. The other leads with respect, hence mutual respect is come about. So respect is to be earned and maintained. Why do I say maintain? Okay, let me give you an example. Okay, so whenever we meet someone, we have a preconceived idea of how much respect we should give to them. Okay? How we should act, how skillful we should be with our speech. Let's say we are meeting the President of Singapore. Obviously, you'll dress more prim and proper, you'll be more skillful with your speech, you'll be more mindful with your actions. Right? But then when we get to know them better, mainly through their body speech, our respect increases, decreases, or sustains. Correct? It does not like, oh, you're president, okay, so I'll give this respect to you. It increases if, wow, he really deserves his position, increases. Or he does not, he really does all the bad stuff, decreases. Okay, so that is where the scale comes in, the respect scale, that's what I call it. This is the same when you apply it to your relationships, your friends, your partners, in a family. So for respect to work, dropping of ego is important, and you must be willing to listen to one another. Okay, now is really the main part of my talk, so I will really need everyone to listen to this. It's a touchy but important point, and I hope that if you want to take away one thing, it will be this today. Let's take respect out of a family context. So let's have a family context without respect now. Just blood relations solely. So if we solely use the logic of blood relations, many things in a family will not work. So let me start with the easy ones. Okay, people they feel that they have stronger bonds with their campmates, their workmates as compared to people at home, but they're not blood related, are they? Some of them, we also have closer siblings. I also have my favorite sibling, right? It's not like, oh, we're all blood related, okay, I'll treat you equally, right? That's where respect and closeness comes in. That's the importance of respect and closeness. And also, adoptions. If everything is based on blood relation, then adoptions will not exist. And also, if let's say my parents divorce, and my parent is finding another partner, and if there is only blood relation, if there's only blood relation and no respect, does that mean that I cannot give my step-parent the same amount of respect given to my biological parent because we're not blood related? So you see, blood relation and respect is two different things. Okay, blood relation should not be the main factor or conviction that draws people together. You cannot say, oh, because I'm the parent or I'm the child of so-and-so, I am deserving of respect. No. Respect has to be earned and it has to be maintained. It does not just come like that, you see. Yeah, so my father will be elaborate, is it? Yeah. Yeah, okay, so, sorry, my bad, yeah. So I'm gonna ask another question. Okay, give me a second. Okay, sorry. Okay, so now I talk about why respect is important in a relationship. Now I'm going to be talking about positive examples of parenting that has gone right. Change of religion. I think this is an amazing example. I knew of this Buddhist family. Okay, and their son wanted to go to Christianity. That's pretty common in Singapore. So obviously you can see we sit, meditate, we talk, but because I've been in churches before, it's really amazing. As a youth, I will go there. There's jumping, there's singing, there's music, there's dancing, there's entertainment, there's blah blah blah, and then you come here, meditate. Okay, so you can see the vast difference and why you so want to go there. And obviously, he was a bit sad, that his son went there. But I think this really encompasses two things. Being a good parent and setting boundaries, but at the same time being respectful for your child's decision. This is what he said to his son. You can go and be a Christian, do whatever you want, but keep your 5 precepts. That to me, wow, I was just like, wow, that is really good parenting. You set boundaries, but you allow your son or your daughter to explore. And that really hit me hard because after a year, he stopped going. Okay, so, but the important point is that we need to allow individuals with their own wisdom to choose wisely after they have been explained and gain clarity about the subject matter. So we need, as parents, to allow our children to explore. And my father will be talking about one company that he wanted to invest in.
Okay, just about stock investment. Sometimes we also got to rely on our children because we do not know better. Okay, I got investment advice that this is a counter to put some money in. Then I check around with my children, and they hardly use that platform. So this is a company to be avoided. So it doesn't mean that being a parent would know better than the children because they are the user of the tech. So consultation with each other is very important, and also ego management, alright? Because doesn't mean that I live more years than them means that I know more than them. Then when we talk about the empowerment, because nowadays we talk about the liberalness, free to do anything. Because now we are free society and all that, blah blah blah. In the 70s, there's this hippie movement. You can do whatever you like because there's only YOLO. You only live once. All right. So those are the era. But actually, empowerment has to come with responsibility. The child has to be deserving of respect. And also, in the family context, I do not set any curfew on my children. Okay, I don't say, oh, by what time you must come back. Otherwise, no, I don't. But beyond a certain time, I'll call them and ask whether they need a ride home. That's not about curfew, that's about concern about their welfare, especially at night. Sometimes I know that soon we'll go out to visit friends and talk to them, counsel them. So we know that it is not about having a good time, because I know that he will uphold his 5 precepts. He will not go to a bar. Alright? That's for sure. So the trust is developed over time. And all my children has been the youth of Buddhist fellowship, and they have also uphold the 5 precepts. So I don't have to worry when they go overseas to study, they will go to the pub or they will take drugs. Okay, this is least of my worry. Next one is
So thanks, Pa. So still on the topic of application of respect, what is the best way to propagate Dhamma while respecting the other party's boundaries? So as Buddhist practitioners, we hope that our children, our partners, our parents would also want to walk the same path as us. And we see the beauty of Buddhism, but they might not recognize it immediately. So there needs to be a lot of skillfulness, a lot of timing, a lot of conditions. So when I was giving a talk to the youths, I said, a younger youth generation, I asked them, how many of your parents made you come? All but one raised their hand. So almost everyone raised their hand basically. And and when I talk to people of different temples, of different faiths, that is also the same thing. Parents making their children go for Buddhist classes. And I even heard of, centers that is set in a classroom setting, like there's a table, there's a chair, there's a whiteboard and everything. So let's take the perspective of a child. From Monday to Friday, I'm already in the classroom. And then on Saturday or Sunday, you want me to go back to another classroom to study this? Instead of bringing me closer to Dhamma, you actually push me away from Dhamma. So this is the part where we really need to be skillful about. And something I realized is that lessons are not limited to the classroom. We need to register this because when I was growing up as the youngest child, I pick up a lot of bad and good habits from my brothers and my parents. My brother would say, I don't eat this. Now I also don't eat this. My brother's like, oh, I love meat. I was like, oh, I love meat too. That kind of stuff. And that registers with us. So it's not about the words parents say, but the actions that they display. That is the important thing. Yes. So another question I have to ask you guys. Who has heard your parents say, okay, I can't speak Chinese, okay, so I have eaten more salt than you have eaten rice, or anything of the equivalent? Raise your hand. Okay. Yes. So what makes parents, okay, this is a genuine question. What makes parents feel confident that they're in a position to guide their child? Why do parents say that? Ma'am, did you raise your hand just now? Okay, maybe you could explain why did your parents say that to you?
Because they are more experienced in life, right? Because the age and the experience.
Alright, lovely. So they're more experienced, they've gone through much more, their age, and 2 other points I'd like to add is they've been there, done that, and they've been hurt before, and they don't want their children to go through the same thing. So parents have this wisdom because they made mistakes. They were hurt, but they came back stronger with wisdom and lessons. But in order to gain that wisdom and lessons, they first had to go through some form of hardship. So what I'm trying to get at is that you must be willing to let your child fail, cry, explore, but in the process be their guide, like that father was to his child who wanted to explore Christianity. So we have to have this mindset where we cannot hold on to our children so tight until that they cannot learn anything. So timing, conditions, skillfulness matters. Let's look at what we chant weekly, what we just chant today. This is the recollection of Dhamma. The Dhamma is well expounded by the Blessed One, apparent here and now, timeless, encouraging investigation, leading inwards to be experienced individually by the wise. So as you can see, a parent should, guide their child, but they should not make them go into a certain religion or make them go into a certain path, because that's also the exploration part of a child's life. Because when they get hurt, they learn much more. But if you shield them, Dhamma might never reveal itself to them. Because when we are at our lowest, when we are suffering and going through dissatisfaction, Dhamma will arise. You'll see it. So, I'd like to cover on Ajahn Chah and my personal anecdote. So, Ajahn Chah, this is I love this story, I tell it to a lot of newcomers. So, Ajahn Chah made a resolve before his range retreat. He said, I will not look at any girls this retreat. So, he wanted to tame sensual desires. So, every time there's a girl by him, you know. Then on the last day, you know, there's this beautiful Thai girl. She came and he, oh no, I saw. Then he realized that just, you know, muting your senses is not enough. He realized that there needs to be a wisdom behind why you do what you do. You need to understand why what you do. So you can't just say, oh, don't do this. Tell your son or daughter, don't do this. But if they don't see why and understand why you're saying that, they might still do it. So this is the importance of exploration, letting our children explore and getting hurt. Now let me talk about drinking experience. It's inverted comma because I don't drink, okay? So my friends asked me, hey, soon it's Friday, you want to go drinking? And I was like, yeah, sure, I don't mind. I want to test my mind because I take my 5 precepts. So I went there and wow, after that I will never drink again. So basically it was a Friday night, so the person made fun of me. He was like, bro, you want water is it? And I was like, yeah. Then he gave me a jug of water to make fun of me. I drank it, finished, obviously. Almost got water poisoning, but it's fine. Okay, so what I noticed throughout the night was that they're just trying to get each other drunk. And at the end, right, they were like, oh, so lucky you never drink because you can take care of all of us. Then they all puked. Literally all of them puked. And I had to take care of them. Yeah. So we were drinking and I could see that they were forcing this guy to drink so that he would reveal a girl that he was talking to them. I had this other friend that said, hey Sun, I'm damn drunk, you know. You ask me anything now, I'll tell you the truth one, okay? I'll tell you everything. And he did. Okay, he told me that. And the one thing that really hit me the most was there was a girl that came along with us, and after they drank and we went home together, there's this guy who had a relationship of 2 years, and he was sitting in the back seat with this other girl, and he was doing this. And he was touching her and lying on her, but he's committed to someone else. And then I realized I would never want my partner to go through that, ever. So from that day forward, I had my wisdom, I had that conviction. Because we all know drinking is bad, smoking is bad, this is bad, but why? So I put it to the test. I went there, I felt uncomfortable, but from then on I realized I would never ever drink, whether it's for career, whether it's for family, nothing. So there's the wisdom I gained. But I could only gain that wisdom if I took that leap of faith to explore, to try and be in different circumstances. So this is the importance of being a parent, letting your children explore and try.
Good for you.
Well, just good timing. Okay. Yeah. So empowerment, trust is important between parent and child. And if we set too much boundary, the children will lose interest because they always need to observe that. But if we trust them, we know that when they step out on the Dhamma hall, they will still uphold the 5 precepts and avoid evil and also do good. So why not? Next thing is about the harmony is the key. This is drawn from the Kosambiya Sutta. I will extract straight away because I won't be going through the sutta due to lack of time. Okay, from this sutta, there was a conflict among monks, and Buddha has come up with a solution about the 6 modes of concord. So hello? Okay. There are 3 types of conduct. Number 1, 2, and 3. Bodily, verbal, and mental. Openly and privately. Openly and privately. Yeah. Just a test out. Anyway, yeah. So So when we talk about loving kindness, just now we meditate with loving kindness. There are 4 parts of loving kindness. First part, of course, is loving friendliness or loving kindness. Second part is compassion. Third one is about appreciative joy or altruistic joy. And the fourth one is the equanimity. How does this apply in parent-child relationship? First one, loving friendliness or loving kindness is we must be friendly to our child. Second thing is when the child meets with difficulty or setback in life, we must be compassionate to them, to have a listening ear. Third one, appreciative joy or altruistic joy is when the child is successful, they hit a certain milestone, we celebrate together, we celebrate the joy. No jealousy. Okay. Fourth one, equanimity. Having chosen a lifetime partner, we find it suitable, that means suitable spouse, we have to be equanimous. We wish them well. Because it's nothing in our control. We do not control anymore. But we wish them well. Give them good advice. Now, point number 4, share gains in accordance with the Dhamma. We discussed that before. What is the gain? The gain in Dhamma is about wisdom, is about insight. So when he shared his wisdom from upholding the 5 precepts, I rejoice. Insight from meditation is also very important. So this is the share in the Dhamma, nothing to do with money. Number 5th point, dwells in virtue and both in public and private. I think that one we've covered before. The last one, dwell in views that is noble and emancipating. That's about the right view. The right view that is expounded by the Buddha. The right view of the 4 Noble Truths, I'm sure some of you will know. And also the right view that covers the child serving one's parent. There is a moral efficacy of a child serving and caring for the parents. Next slide is about how to repay parents. In the Sutta, Anguttara Nikaya number 2, Book of 2, 4.2, repaying one's parents. I'm sure some of you have come across this sutta about it is impossible to pay back one's parents even by carrying both parents on both shoulders for 100 years, massaging them, caring for them. So, is there a way to repay back truthfully? There is. It's about settle and establish them in faith. That means faith in the Buddha and the Dhamma and the Sangha. Establish the parents with virtue. We observe the good. We also observe the avoidance of the bad. Settle the parent with generosity. Make some donations here and there for good deeds. And then settle with wisdom. Go for meditation, Dhamma talk, learn together. So he has paid his dues. Okay. But that doesn't mean that he doesn't have to pay anymore. Because a few days ago, my elder son came back from Melbourne, and then we go out for lunch together, and he paid for my meal. That's not expectation. That's what he did. All right. Next one.
Yeah, so I'm going to be just skimming through this. So, application of harmony. So, with respect comes harmony and understanding, and a dropping of an over-idealistic expectation of one another. So, I think we need to, we all think that we're the protagonists of our life. We have the most problems, and everything is, has to be about me. So, we need to drop that idea, and we also need to think that everyone makes mistakes, even our parents. We have these expectations that just because they're adult, they have everything, they got everything together. But they never received a guide to be a parent, right? And I think that's really it really hit me hard yesterday when I was reflecting. Because I was like, I've been grateful for my parents, but as I grow older, after army, after uni, it's about working, getting a family, so and so, I'm gonna think about taxes, I'm gonna think about bills, I'm gonna think about this. Wow, it's crazy. And on top of that, they have to work and take care of us. It's really insane what they have to do. So it's very easy as an adult to get lost in the world. And I think what we children can do is also to bring them back down to earth and guide them as well, give them wisdom. So I'm going to be quoting this, Planting a Lettuce by Thich Nhat Hanh. So when you plant a lettuce, if it does not grow, you don't blame the lettuce. You look for reasons it is not doing well. It may be the fertilizer, or more water, less sun. You never blame the lettuce. Yet, if you have problems with our friends or family, we blame the other person. But if we know how to take care of them, they will grow well like the lettuce. Blaming has no positive effect at all, nor does trying to persuade using reason or argument. That is my experience. No blaming, no reasoning, no arguing, just understanding. If you understand and you show that you understand, you can love, and the situation will change. Okay, I'm just going to give some time for everyone to take picture because I see a lot of phones up. Okay, we are heading towards the end of our talk. I'm going to be talking about what can be done today. Okay, so there's no point telling you all this if we don't tell you what you can start doing today. Okay, I'm just gonna wait for Alright. Okay, so day one or one day, will this be the day one that you start acting, or is it just another day? So we need to start communicating objectively. I think we as an Asian culture, we are very conservative and very indirect. So in order to understand one another, an open line of communication is important. I hope, as a son, I would like to hear more about what my parents' hobbies was, what they did in uni, what they went through as a child, what did they learn. But I think a lot of times in this, Asian context, parents don't really share with the child a lot about what they went through. And I think it's really amazing because that builds a bridge. That's why at the start we introduce ourselves, because why would you listen to a person that you don't know who he is, right? That's why we introduce ourselves from the start. We make an open book, and only when we are open, people tend to listen more and listen well. Yes, so codependency, no relationship is perfect and we all have our flaws. However, that should not stop us from trying to be better people. Okay, we'll never be perfect, but it's okay to be better. And admonishment is one thing, like when it happens in investment, he doesn't say, hey, at 30 years, you 5 years. He doesn't say that. He listens. So that's very important when we admonish each other. When I told him that, oh, this is something you can work on. He didn't say, hey, you disrespectful. No, he didn't do that, right? He was like, okay, I'll take this to heart. I'll learn. I will work on this. So that is something that I really find that's really respectable about him. Yeah, again, respect. Level of respect increased. Okay. So be there to comfort and advise each other, because the world has a lot of ill and self-centered people. And let's not be one of them. Let's be the people that are outstanding to our partners, our friends, our children, our parents. And lastly, change starts from within, not without. If you want to change someone, start with yourself. Because you can't wait for the other party to say, it's their fault. Then you will never end the cycle. It's his fault, her fault, his fault. So he should, she should, they should. Stop that. Start now. So it's important to sit down with your family, and have that clear communication with no ill intentions, just objectivity, trying to be factual. Yes. So one thing I do on a weekly basis is that I have self-reflections. I reflect anything that has happened bad. I'll be like, okay, what is the learning lessons from this? There's this quote: things happen for a reason. I'm pretty sure a lot of people have heard it before. How I like to spin it is, we find the reasons in why things happen. So it's very different. So I ask myself, when things are going bad, what can I do better? Instead of saying, wow, why me? Wow. And that leads to my final point. A lot of our people of my age, we're going through, a lot of them face depression and stuff like that because it's a downward spiral of, you know, self-pity. Why is this happening to me? Why not others? You know, stuff like that. But if that can be a mind state, happiness can be a mindset as well. So we need to retune ourselves and catch each other when we fall into this pitfall of sadness, of depression. We need to catch each other. Alright, now I'll pass the conclusion time over to my father.
Before I conclude, day one or one day, so it can be now. Why I say now is because sometimes there's opportunity arise. I remember that expression of gratitude is through action, and there are a few times when I fell asleep, my blanket was on the floor, Heksu will come to the room and cover me with the blanket. Then I feel warm, then I feel shook. And this is even better than striking lottery, right? And so I think supporting each other is very important. Sometimes when I was dead tired and I knock off early, the room light is on, he will come in, flick the switch off and close the door and let me sleep on. So these are the act of kindness that can be done now rather than wait for don't know when. Conclusion. Okay, I think everyone is waiting for this. The synergy based on Buddha's teaching is possible with mutual respect because there's no ownership. I don't own him, okay? And he does not own me. It's about stewardship. Stewardship means management. We manage our own emotion, our mind, but for the benefit of each other. Second point, balanced approach with middle path. Sometimes, yes, it's tough to see that your children fail, but sometimes fail they must because there's a lesson to be learned. And extending the helping hand when and required, as and when you require. Neither do we go to the other extreme of over-pampering. Then, point number 3, gratitude is the attitude towards each other. So if we have gratitude towards each other, things are easier, smoother. So, and then our mind becomes very light. The last one, the Buddha Dhamma is timeless and is still relevant in the digital age. So Buddha is a visionary and the Dhamma still has its relevance even today. So I wish everyone, as an ordinary person, to be extraordinary and be noble. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Brother Chiang and Brother Heng, for the very inspiring sharing. Don't you think so?
Yes.
Thank you. Maybe we have a few questions from the crowd. Feel free to ask any questions that you have.
Yeah, first I would like to thank this father and son team for giving us a very interesting, inspiring, and also very interactive Dhamma talk. I was listening, actually I also learned quite a lot. Some of the points you mentioned. As a parent, there are a lot of things I sometimes want to say, but I know that it could be due to the timing, the venue, even the person who speaks. So it's sometimes better to have someone who may be sharing something similar, but in a different place, like in VF here, like Heng Sun, who is actually saying something which I like to tell my children, but I think it may not be easy and to understand, also agree. I'm very happy that today I'm able to bring my children here and they create very good conditions because I did not have to force them to be here. I don't know when was the last time 4 of us were together. So when I came to know that Heng Sun is giving a talk, I said, hey, your friends here better come and support. So we agree. So that we are here. And yes, I think this is a way to go, because Dhamma is not just restricted to the sutta studies and from the books that we read, but many of times all these experiences is very real. Nowadays it's never easy. There's nothing much that we actually have gone through before we sign the document. So it's always a lot of trial and error, and sometimes ourselves may want to do a lot, but lack of the understanding or wisdom. So on that note, I say it's very good to see this kind of arrangement, making the Sunday service more interesting and more inspiring. So thank you, father and son, senior and junior, SJP. Thank you.
Sadhu to Brother T. The whole family is here. Too many times parents and child carry, even husband and wife also carry the baggages. So sometimes it's very difficult to open the mouth. But by building the trust with each other, by upholding the Buddha's teaching, I believe it is still possible to keep a line of open communication. But at times where it is not possible, it is still through a conduit. So it will rely on the Kalyana Mitas, the spiritual friends who can give good advice to a parent or a child, or even go through counseling with a Sangha members or a learned person. So there are many ways to address the problem. So it's not just you must straight away open the channel straight away. You must see the situation, apply accordingly.
Any other question?
Actually, I don't have a question. So I just want to, as mentioned by Brother T, it's a good talk by father and son. So I will just ask him when will he be coming out, Brother T. When can he have a father and son talk?
That will be series 2, right?
Hello, thank you, brother, for the light-hearted sharing. And my question is actually on the part which you say that it's okay to let the child fail, explore, but also at the same time you must set boundary. So how do you find the balance of setting boundary? We don't want the boundary to be too tight and also too loose. Where do you find the balance? That's my question. And also secondly, instead of scolding them, what else do we do? I mean, sometimes you nag at them, you're also very tired nagging at them, right? So maybe your experience you can share with us.
Thank you, sister. How?
Hello. I'll answer the first part, and I'll leave Heng Sun to answer the second part. Okay. It's sometimes you have to see, you have to exercise the intuitive wisdom to see the situation, whether is it overindulgence, is it over the limit, is it pampering. If it amounts to pampering, it means like Chinese is called ni ai. Ni ai means that you drown the child with love, which is not a good practice. So when we talk about pampering, this is not to be done. So you must draw the boundary of what is overindulging or pampering, or what is situation required you to help the child. You must pitch in. So as an observer, you will need to analyze the situation. So when it is required for intervention, you will do it. I'll just quote one example. Okay, it's not very nice, but I still need to quote that example. One evening, when Heng Sun asked my wife and me that whether his friend can come to stay in the house overnight because he's drunk.
Same story, by the way.
So I straight away say, sorry, no. Because if you allow your friend who is drunk to stay overnight, then he will find a very convenient place to be drunk the next time. So I said, please order a taxi, send him home. Of course, my wife is more worried about if he puked in my house. Who will do the cleanup? So therefore, sometimes yes, when you call for exercise of wisdom, you have to. And the Buddha's rule book is very easy to follow. If you are familiar with certain guideline, just follow that. So it is always the middle path, neither too tight nor soft. I hope it answers your questions.
Yeah. Actually, I was gonna raise that point because my father never scolds. So that night when I really wanted my friend to come over because I was really worried about him, he said no. And so one thing I realized is that you have to regulate how much nagging you do, and also regulate how much scolding you do. Because I've been in charge of a committee for 3 years now in school, and I only scold them once. Yeah. And that time I scold them, right, they say, wow, very scared. Because they're not used to that. So when your child can see that difference, you know, how you're always calm demeanor, and when you get angry or objectively angry, they can tell, okay, I really need to keep in line. So it's about playing your cards wisely. And another thing I realized was that it's also our expectations of our children. You know, expectations leads to suffering. So we expect our children to be this way, that way, and when it doesn't go that way, it causes us suffering. Because I had a friend that I was very close with him, and he started smoking. You know, I was more worried for him than he was worried for himself. Then I came to the center and I asked, like, what was so doing? Then he said, oh, it's your expectations. Like this youth told me, and that's the most amazing lesson I've heard ever. He said, you need to watch your expectations. That is your expectations of him. Don't impose your expectations onto that person. And from that, I was like, yes. And because he has not gone through the right conditions to realize what he's doing is wrong. So no matter how much I nag, it won't get to him. In fact, we will push him further away. You know, he's like, oh, soon he's talking again, okay. Yeah. So it's really a right balance between playing your cards also and managing your expectations also. Yeah. I hope that answers.
Just to add to that, nowadays there are many digital devices. So if you nag more, they'll just switch off their mic and then plug on to the digital devices. So there's no more communication. So just as said before, the communication is required when the mind is light, soft, open, vibrant. So if you can establish that kind of condition, the child will listen. So the Prince Albaya's advice also, they talk about sometimes it has to be disagreeable, but you explain the reason why. And then you stop at that. Don't put in other 加油加酱油, don't add in other spices into the conversation. That will kill the conversation.
Okay, one last question.
Thank you, Rachari and Teo Heng for the sharing. So this question is kind of related to the previous question, but coming from the child's point of view. So I know that not every parent is perfect, and sometimes in our own training, we find that perhaps our parents are not so skillful in interacting with the other parent, and also perhaps to other people, or also to us. So maybe this question is directed to Heng Sun first, then maybe Brother Chami can add in. So for example, like how do we chip in our own suggestions to like our parents? Because for me, I'm very hierarchical in the sense that I really want to respect my parents. But this morning it just happens that I thought that my mom wasn't very skillful in communicating with my dad, and when I was trying to text her, I found myself in a very weird situation. Like, should I really be telling her how she can be more skillful in her speech? Or am I imposing my views on her? Am I expecting her to be otherwise? So maybe Heng Soon can chip in how you give suggestions to your dad or your parents.
Yeah, I think it goes back to the point that I mentioned about how parents wanting to bring their children to Buddhist centers, but the greatest lesson is through their actions. So we also can, like our brothers were the first ones that went to Buddhist fellowship, and that impacted our parents to go as well. So I think it's important to note that how you act as a child, how you react, because if let's say I'm a parent and I scold you, then there's this natural inclination to expect they to, react the same way. But when you don't react the same way, they're like, you're supposed to whack me that, attack, why you never attack? Then they're like, why? Then that, prompts more search, more thinking. Because if you just whack, then there's no realization, there's no reflection, there's just more hatred. Yeah, so I think that's something to note. And as for our respect for her, I think it's also good, to establish them more in the Dhamma and in faith as well. So if you think that this can benefit them, why not? Because in the Sigalovana Sutta, it says it's your duty to your parents. Everyone has duty to their parents, but that does not mean you have to respect them. You see, that's what I taught just now. So obviously you are going in with a respectful point of view, but it's okay to admonish your parents, just like as I did with my father as well. Yeah, I think it's important if we want to elevate the family synergy. It's important that we all are encouraged to grow together as well. Yeah.
Okay, addressing to the question about being a non-practitioner is difficult to bring a message across. Sometimes it's by your example. That means if you show your response through your example, they may one day realize that it is useless to keep on hopping the same tree. You must change tack. The question, of course, is sometimes people cannot change, so you cannot enforce the change because they don't see the benefit. But if they realize that by doing the same thing year in, year out, no change, what is the purpose? So perhaps if you can get your parent to listen to someone who the advice can be listened to, that would be good. Otherwise, you establish as a good example, a role model. Ever heard of the example of the verse called one hand clapping? Okay, I'll use this example. If a person is just doing one hand clapping, there's no sound. It takes two hands to clap to have a sound. So drama is created this way. Dhamma, on the other hand, is one hand clapping. The other hand will be very tired and will give up clapping because there's no sound. That's Dhamma. Alright? Hope you answer the question.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Brother Chiang and Brother Heng Soon. Shall we say 3 Sadhu?